What is happening? What is happening? What is happening, ladies and gents? Ladies and gents, welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin podcast. That's right. This is a show where we discuss trending stories, topics in the field of politics, sports, and pop culture, and so much more. Now, as you know, changing the narrative is my mission, and in order to do that, I always ask the help for individuals from all walks of life, whether they're public figures in sports, entertainment, community, politics, man. And I've had people on both sides because, as you know, I'm friends with everybody. I'm a middleman. So we always love to have great people here on the Arrington Gavin pod, just, to have a great conversation. I'm so excited because on this show, I have my dear friend, Mr. Greg Scott. So Greg Scott is a former NFL star. Now he's a community leader, entrepreneur. And I'm excited to have him on because, as you know, this will be the last Friday until Super Bowl 58. And I'm talking about Super Bowl 58, which is going to be in Las Vegas. It'll be the San Francisco 49ers taking on the reigning Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. As you know, KC is probably this current generation's dynasty squad. This will be their fourth Super Bowl appearance in 5 years. Okay, 5 years. Andy Reid, in my mind, top 5 best football coach of all time. He has the resume to prove it. Pat Mahomes, from my time, I think he's up there in the top 5 as well. He's still young, not even 30 yet. He's doing so much great stuff. I think he's maybe in his 6th year. I could be wrong, but it's gonna be a Super Bowl that everybody's gonna be talking about. So I'm gonna have my good friend Greg on just in a few minutes, but just to kind of catch everybody up on this Super Bowl, as I mentioned earlier, you have the Kansas City Chiefs coming back for their to almost like it's a rematch, because I believe in 2019 they faced off against the San Francisco 49ers, and at that time it was I think what's his name? Jimmy Garoppolo was the starting QB, if I'm not mistaken. And Jimmy was like, oh, he was the savior, signed like over $100 million dollar contract, and he was a stuff, right? He was a stuff. It was supposed to be his time. But one thing about that KC team, let me tell you something. They are a fourth quarter squad. I've always said, second half team is always great, but a fourth quarter team is insane. Okay. That's the hardest thing in the NFL is to come back in clutch situations. And Pat Mahomes is a clutch player. He has oh my gosh, Travis Kelce, probably one of the top tight ends currently right now in the NFL. He has a squad. He has a squad with him. So as you see this graphic, this is reported by Yahoo Sports. I mean, you see both coaches of each squad, as I mentioned earlier, Andy Reid, and then you got Kyle Shanahan, who's leading who's been coaching the San Francisco 49ers, doing a great job in San Fran. And if you're familiar with the last name Shanahan, he is the son of Mike Shanahan, who's won a couple of rings with Denver back in the I believe the late 90s, early 2000ish, or maybe a little bit mid on. And he then on went to coaching the Washington at the time the Redskins. And so Kyle Shanahan is starting to make a name for himself as a head coach. Obviously, Andy Reid is getting what he deserves because I've always been a fan of Andy Reid. But I mean, look at that graphic, y'all. Look at that graphic. Now, you got the tail between two amazing QBs. Of course, we know Pat Mahomes' stats, right? But we have a guy by the name of Brock Purdy. Y'all got quiet. Y'all like, who the hell is Brock Purdy? Who is Brock Purdy? Mr. Irrelevant, drafted in the very last pick, y'all, 262nd pick. That man waited for a long time, but look, he's been proving himself time and time again that, hey, look, I have what it takes to compete in the NFL, and this will be a remarkable story if San Fran pulls this off, led by Brock Purdy. So let me hurry up and get this graphic off and get my good friend, Mr. Greg Scott. Let me bring Greg on. Let's see here. Oh, hold on. Let me change that for you. There we go. Greg, what's going on with you, brother?
Hey, my man. How you doing, bro?
Man, bless. So, man, thank you so much for taking out the time out of your busy schedule, man, because you're doing it all. Like I've mentioned before, you have an amazing resume. You spent over 5 years, I believe, at playing professional football. You've played with the Washington, at the time, the Washington Redskins, now currently the Washington Commanders. You played with the Cincinnati Bengals. You had a career over in NFL Europe, and you also played on in the league of arena sports. So you are an expert when it comes to the sport of football, if I might say. And then can't forget you play with one of the most prestigious HBCU squads, Hampton University. So you're a
Right.
pirate. I have some families that are pirates too. Now, majority of my families behold the green and gold, so I won't take nothing against you. But man, you are but you're doing great stuff in your community with your foundation as well, man, which we'll get to talking about that a little later on in the show. But first and foremost, man, Greg, how's everything going with you?
Well, man, first and foremost, man, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate this opportunity, man, to get up here with someone who's so well respected as well, man. So thank you. But man, life is going, man. We get up every day and swing that hammer again, man, try to make it happen. So, right now we just, hey, feeding kids every day, man. Right now, that's all we got going on is not high school football season anymore. Of course, I coach high school football at Southampton High, so that keeps me a little busy in the afternoons. But right now, it's just dad come home and see what's going on with the kids after I feed kids at Cover 3.
The man can't look. You just can't get rid of kids. You just kids are everywhere with you. Kids at your home. Your kids in your community. You're coaching kids, man, which is awesome. And I mean that's even great. The fact that we're talking about the upcoming Super Bowl, because you being a coach and you coach on the high school level. I mean I've always said I would prefer watching high school and college, because it's a different drive between
Right.
those athletes compared to guys in the pros, because obviously the pros is like, hey, I've made it, I still want to maintain this job because I have to feed my family, but I do want to make a name for myself on this high level. But when it's high school and college, man, they're like, look, I'm giving you my all at all times. I mean, I played high school ball myself, and I didn't quite have that passion to pursue college. I thought about it, but
Right.
I just the practices was intense, and
Right.
I think I got clocked one time, and I said, you know what, this might not be for me. This might man. I'm talking, man, Greg. When I tell you a guy got me good, I was a DB and running back, and I've always loved defense, because I'm like, hey, look, I'm initiating the contact. I don't want nobody
Right.
coming after me. But
Right.
yeah, it only took but one time, and I'm like, you know what? I don't gotta do this no more. I don't want to do this no more. My dad said, you looked a little lost for a second. I said, it's because I was, sir. I was
Right.
playing it off like it didn't hurt, but I'm like, you know what? That hurt. That was a good hit, but it
Right.
hurts. I'm like,
Hey,
not
man,
for me, man.
it's a tough game, man. It makes a man out of you, man. I think football is, I hear a lot of my great coaches, man, say football is life. Some of the lessons you learn out on the football field, they're long lasting in your life as well, man. So the game teaches you a lot of basic fundamentals, man. What you put into it, you're going to get out of it. So I just like that aspect of how it's helped me become a man, the competing aspect, getting up every day, bringing your A game, and to now be able to feed that energy back into young high school kids, man, is just a privilege, man. Because like I said, I
Mm,
think thank God they respect me for my football resume. So then I try to be as positive and shed as much light on situations, pertaining to football, which also can shed that same light in your life, because like I said, they really run parallel, man.
absolutely.
What you do in football, that the type of person you're going to be on the football field is usually the type of person you're going to be in life. So
Mm.
it's just it's wonderful, man, to be able to share that knowledge with some young men who are dreaming of trying to do something that I had a privilege to do, man. So to be able to pour back into them, I take it every day, man. It's an honor.
Man, and look, and I always have to ask, being a former professional athlete, do you miss it, man? Like, and if so, what is one of what is maybe a couple things that you really just miss about being on the field?
I miss the camaraderie with the guys, man. Because usually if that camaraderie with the camaraderie with the guys,
Hmm.
you never forget those relationships. You know what I'm saying? Some of those people you still talk to on a day-to-day basis. That's what you miss the most.
Mm.
Um, the competitiveness. Every day in the NFL, man, you got to bring your A game. If you're about competing, you got to bring your A game every day and be ready to go up against other guys who felt like at one point in time they were among, the best football players in the world. So to be able to prove yourself in that arena every day and to come and compete. It's a
Mhm.
wonderful thing, man. So I'm thankful for the opportunity. I always dreamed about it growing up as a young kid, and then to be able to make it, man,
Mm.
was just a dream come true. Because, like I said, it's something that you honestly do dream about your entire youth life, trying to get to that point, man. So I do miss it. I don't miss playing because, like I said, that at 45, now at 44, but 45 soon. The body, it's definitely a young man's game. Once you get around 33, 34, you start to realize, like, hey, man, I'm an OG in this game, because
Hey, look, but look, in a sense, you're never too old. I mean, you go to basketball, you look at LeBron, you see Brady stayed until he was about 45. I mean, I understand the different position, but
right.
like, I mean, these, there are athletes that are just saying, you know what, I still got some more. I still got some more. So, but I totally understand, just the impact. Like I said, high school was good for me. See, they said, what about your senior year? I said, what about my senior year? You know what I mean? Like my body, I'm walking. I got crooked fingers. I'm like,
Right. I
I'm
totally
good.
I totally agree with you though, man. I mean, some guys you get those rare situations like the
Mhm.
Tom Brady's, the LeBron James, where these guys defy all the odds, and they just play for a long time. But just trust me, those guys come far in between, especially guys who are in the trenches, being a
I know that's right.
defensive lineman, offensive lineman. You find guys who playing 10, 12, 14 years down there, man. God has really been looking out for them. They had to have stayed mostly injury free. But
Hmm.
it's real down there in those trenches, man, because it's not a lot of plays off down there. You being touched every play in those trenches.
I believe you, Chief. I believe you, man. Let's kind of go back to the conference championship games, right? We had KC going headed into Baltimore, which was pretty rare because I'll be honest, I was somewhat of a critic of KC the start of the season because I'm like, oh, y'all lost Tyreek Hill. In my mind, the top wide out, at least the
Right.
fastest for sure. But when I heard they were losing him, I'm like, oh, that's your number one piece right there because Mahomes throws up prayers. Like, I mean, Mahomes has a cannon and just Tyreek always he's the fastest guy, so it made it real easy. So seeing him leave, I'm like, oh, KC won't be the same. The atmosphere is going to be different because it's like, okay, you feel like you've lost one of your one of your bros, and it's like it's going to be
Hmm.
different. So I wasn't expecting KC to make it this far. And I was even like going back on some of their stats, and I was reading up how KC really has had a somewhat of a unsuccessful, at least I know Pat Mahomes for sure, but he didn't have a successful season statistic wise. But even though they made it far, but just stat wise, he was not the same. I think he was averaging maybe like 270 yards in passing. I'm reading some of my notes is pass yards interception. He had about 14 this past season, so not
Right.
really improving. And of course, the Chiefs, they had a lot of drop balls. So I'm like, okay, Case ain't gonna make it this far, but fast forward, they're in the conference game.
Right.
What was your take first on just that game?
Be honest with you, man. I really going into the game, I really felt like you can never count Pat Mahomes out. He wasn't MVP Pat this regular season, but he's still Pat Mahomes, and I think he's earned the respect to never count him out.
Mm,
Any game he's in, excuse me, especially if he has Travis Kelsey, guy who really dominates the middle of the field for him in his offense. So you can never count those guys out, man. I respect Kansas City. I was really pulling for Baltimore in that situation because Pat Mahomes has got there. We love Pat Mahomes. We know he's a great quarterback. I was really hoping that Lamar was going to get a chance to showcase his talents on
mm-hmm.
that bigger stage. And to be honest with you, I really think Kansas City was Kansas City in that game. I think Baltimore's defense is what I was a little bit more disappointed in because
Mm,
Baltimore's defense had been smashing people all season, and to
that's
get to
true.
that game and they did. I mean, they played decent, but you had they had big plays happen on them. Things that were happening to them didn't happen all year. Big plays, they weren't getting the turnovers that they were accustomed to getting because, of course, again, you're playing against Pat Mahomes. But I really felt like Baltimore's defense level of play wasn't I'm not gonna say the guys weren't up and ready to play the game, because I think that's an insult. The guys practiced all week. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure they were ready. I just don't think things went the way they anticipated them going, and Kansas City got the best of them. But I was really thinking that it was going to be Baltimore and Lamar Jackson's year. But again, Pat Mahomes, two-time winning Super Bowl quarterback, and his teammates stepped up to the challenge and made things very difficult. And they won a road game. They went on the road and won that
And
game out
that's
there in
that's
Baltimore.
that's another thing. I mean, that was the first in a long time you've really seen KC playing in
Exactly.
a playoff game at that capacity on the road. That's why
Exactly.
you kind of hope that, okay, boom, home field advantage. Okay, brings up, builds up the momentum of Baltimore. But I mean, to piggyback what you said, man, I feel as though that Baltimore just never had an answer for KC's offense. Like, it was like they were not responding at all, and
And,
it
and
wasn't.
you got to
Mhm.
remember, Baltimore. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Oh
across. I'm
no,
sorry. Baltimore had. It's almost like Baltimore damn near beat themselves, man. I want to say they had
yes. Oh no, you.
five or six unsportsmanlike penalties that were just, you can't have those in that type of game. I want to say the
Their
young
wide receiver, I
Austin,
think he was like a second year guy.
yeah,
Bonehead mistakes, man, and it kills. And it's so funny because my father, he did a short stint in the league. Play. He's very passionate, coach as well, very
right,
passionate. And he's just like saying, it's always funny hearing from a person like, in their 60s and just, older generation,
right.
because it's like, these young kids need to stop messing around and play the game. Like, it was so funny, but he really messed it. Those penalties really affected the turnaround of the game. And it's just,
It did.
you don't want to keep on beating that player, in the head, because obviously you have your teammates to console you, being like, man, it's okay, you gotta learn from that. But I mean, he's lucky he's a starter, because if that was, someone that's a struggling player trying to get his spot on the team, bro, that's your contract right there. You out.
He may have been out of there, but thank God. I forget his name. He's second year guy. He's an explosive receiver.
No, exactly.
Uh,
Number four, I believe. Number four. I
yeah,
know
yeah,
exactly who you're
number
talking
four. I
about.
forget his name, but he's awesome, man. He's going to be very good in this league. But
Mhm.
I really felt like he had a chance to grow up that game, because I think he's gonna dream about diving across that goal line, fumbling that football. That's going to mess with him for a long time, man, because I
Yeah,
know he's a competitor. And that play, I really feel like if they would have got that play, they could have changed. I think that score would have tied things up.
it
Would have
sure
just
would.
changed
It
the
would
momentum.
help.
It
It
would have
it
changed the
it
momentum
definitely
of the
will,
game.
but like spoken, defense wins championships. And we I've out my that's somebody, my coaches, my dad's told me, hey, defense wins championships. But in the case of KC, it's just totally different, because KC is, in my eyes, that fourth quarter squad that is so unpredictable. You just don't know what happens. You really don't know what they can do, and they fire up in the fourth quarter, which is rare.
And then going to KC's defense.
Yeah.
KC's defense stepped up in crucial times, in which they have a all-star, studded type defense. They defensive
Hmm.
lineman, Chris, what's my man's name?
Chris Jones. Yep.
Chris Jones. He's just you have to account for him every game. He always makes a difference in every game that he's in. So again, hats off to KC, man. They weren't my pick going in, but
Hmm.
again, that's why we all have to play the game. We can all sit here and talk about it, but you got to play the game and finish it up and see how things go then. So
That's right. That's right.
congrats to
And
KC.
before we move on to the next game, to make a little joke on Baltimore Ravens. See, what had happened was, if Harbaugh didn't do that breakdancing in the locker room after that game before, see what I mean? You can't be too confident, man. You just can't be too confident. Like, they dancing like they just won the Super Bowl. I'm like, They were having a little too much fun, and he knew
time
that
and
game was there, man.
time and place for everything, man. You
What?
don't want to celebrate too early, man, because like I said, because I want to say the score to that game, what was it, 17-10? I
It
want to
was,
say,
sure enough, yeah, it was
yeah,
17-10. You're absolutely right,
17-10.
17-10.
So just who would have thought that Pat Mahomes would only score 17 points and Lamar would have only got 10, especially at home in Baltimore. But that just goes to show the defenses came up and played good football, man. But you can never the turnovers and
Mhm.
those penalties, man, is going to get you every time, especially in those type of tight games where teams are evenly matched. Whoever turns the football over is going to lose the football game.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So look, we gonna move it on to the NFC game, and we had the Detroit Lions take on San Fran. And I'm gonna be honest, I was rooting, my heart was rooting for Detroit. I'm like, Detroit, this
Right.
is your time. You got this. But I'll ask you first, what was your take on that game? What was some of the stuff you pulled from that game where you're like, okay, this is why y'all lost?
I think Detroit, the only reason they didn't pull that game out, the same thing that had gotten them to that point all season, being aggressive, you know, taking chances, it
Yeah,
kind of bit them because I want to say the Detroit Lions coach could have kicked the field goal that would have tied the game. Now,
that's
you
right.
still got to go out and hit the field goal, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he went for it on fourth down and they didn't get it. But if
Mm-hmm.
you kick
Mm-hmm.
that field goal and you tie that game up, you never know what can happen after that. So kind of just maybe at that time just wasn't their year, man. Shout out to Detroit, how they've turned that city and that organization around. I too was rooting for them to go all the way because I just like the style of their coach, man. Their style of their coach is a no nonsense type of
Yeah.
guy, and I think the guys on that team kind of follow that from him. You usually adapt the attitude of your coach, and
Mm-hmm.
he's aggressive, and he was that way all year. And it just so happened to bite him in the butt in that one chance where they didn't get that first down. But hats off to San Francisco, man. I mean, top to bottom, they have a hell of a football roster, man. They have especially a lot of pieces offensively that can hurt you, and their defense plays lights out, man. So it was going to be hard to go out there and get San Francisco and play 48 minutes of tough football to pull that out, or 60 minutes in that case to pull that out. But
Mm-hmm.
Detroit was there. They're going to be an organization to be dealt with moving forward. But again, San Francisco 49ers, man, such a historic, franchise. I
Yeah.
just think you have so many guys who stepped up and made plays in the right time to pull that game out. But again, hats off to Detroit. But I think, San Francisco just had the better team top to bottom.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when it came to, like you mentioned earlier, taking chances, taking risks at, going
Mhm.
after it on the fourth quarter. Yeah, it helped during the regular season, but it's like you got to play smart football when it comes to these clutch situations and when it comes to the
Exactly.
timing. Dan Campbell is very well respected by his teammates. I think it does help when you have a lot of former professional athletes, even athletes that, some of them he probably played during the same time he was playing, because
Right.
he's a young guy. I think he's in his early
Right.
40s, and a former Detroit Lion himself. I think he was part of that squad where they were like 0-16 or something. So it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
the city was behind you. It was just the remarkable story and stuff. And he even took he took credit. Well, he took accountability as far as, hey, look, I made a gamble, it didn't work. That was on me. But I'm just
Right.
like, man, why? And it was like 4th and 3. I'm like, out of all
Yeah.
4th and 3, man, it wasn't like y'all were just but it broke me, man. It really did broke me. But I think the more thing I was upset about was like, okay, in my mind, Detroit was the only team, in my opinion, that could really compete with KC. I'm a little back and forth with San Fran. I like San Fran,
Yeah.
but I just, for one, I look at coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Andy got a great coaching staff. He can really outcoach another squad.
He
Then I look
does.
at the talent. Don't get me wrong, San Fran is awesome when it comes to their lineup. I mean, like I mentioned before, Mr. Irrelevant, who's Brock Purdy. I
I'm
mean, I
pretty.
think he young. I mean, little guy too, like 6'1", 222,
Yeah.
maybe 220, something like that. Um,
Great,
he's
great, great game manager, man. Getting the job
Oh
done.
man, the knowledge is crazy. The knowledge is
Yeah.
crazy with how he reads his play style. He's a playmaker. I
Yeah.
said it before in one of my old one of my recent episodes, at least about Pat Mahomes. Pat is a playmaker, and I see that as well in Brock Purdy.
Right.
But you got
That's
Christian McCaffrey.
Debo
You have
Samuel.
Debo Samuel. That's my boy right there. Debo
Yeah.
Samuel, George Kittle. So I mean, it's
They
almost
got a lot of places,
they
man.
got a lot of pieces.
A dominant offensive lineman and Trent Williams. I mean, you got a lot of pieces, man. To
Mhm.
they, they have the makings of a great football team, and they really showed that, man. Detroit gave them a hell of a fight, but at the end, San Francisco just made more plays than Detroit did, and like I said, Detroit got a little aggressive. If you kick
Yeah.
that field goal, I think you may have a different turnout. But hey, that's the call you went with. And that's the thing
That's
about
right.
football, man. You live and die by that call.
Well, look, what is now let's move it on to the actual Super Bowl, right? Let's move to the Super
Right.
Bowl. So you have now the San Fran taking on KC, a rematch of 2019 Super Bowl. But KC being the reigning champions. What how are you seeing the way this is gonna be played out? What are the key things that both teams have to do in order to try and get that win?
I think it's going to be a hell of a football game, man. First off, you got great coaches, you got great football players, you got two aggressive teams that are going to go and play football every snap, man. So it's going to be exciting. I think my prediction is, I think Pat Mahomes, he continues his dynasty, man. I think he's going to win his third Super Bowl. I just, like I said again, it's hard to go against Pat, man. Not to say that the San Francisco can't make it happen, but
Mhm.
of course, I cheer for Cincinnati hard. Being I spent 3 years out there, and I think Joe Burrow is one of the few people that has beaten Pat Mahomes
Mhm.
several times in crucial situations. So I just think it's hard to count Pat out, man. You get him in that situation, you get him in those games, and he just shows you his greatness every time. I think San Francisco has a very good football team, but again, I think Pat outshines him and gets his third Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, look, folks, you heard it from the pro himself, the football guru himself, the wizard, Mr. Greg Scott. Greg, look, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. But when we come back, we're gonna talk about one of his former squads, man, because it's got a lot of new things happening in Washington, and we want to get his take on that. So when we come back, we'll have more of the Arrington Gavin podcast. It's your boy Arrington Gavin. I'm here with former NFL star, entrepreneur, and community activist, Mr. Greg Scott. All right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break.
Order your beard care products with Rugged Evolution. We're your local beard care line that supports the maintenance of your full, mature beard. Our line includes conditioning shampoos, moisturizers, balms, oils, shaving lotions, and exfoliating soaps. These products moisturize, hydrate, nourish, and have all the natural ingredients for a healthy beard. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
All right, fam. Look, we are back here with more of the Arrington Gavin pod. I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Greg Scott. We already just finished talking of the Super Bowl predictions. As you know, happening this Sunday, the Super Bowl held in Las Vegas, y'all. Las Vegas. It will be the San Francisco 49ers taking on the reigning champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a great one, too, because you got Usher, the R&B icon, performing, the halftime. I think Reba's doing the national anthem. I mean, it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. So really excited, man. Make sure y'all get y'all wings ready, all your your dips and everything. I'm ready. I'm not caring about a diet this weekend. I'm telling you this right now. This is a holiday for me. So I'm gonna go ham. I don't know about you, Greg. I'm going ham. I got the beer ready. We everything. We're gonna have a great time.
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's hard to worry about a diet this weekend, man.
What?
I'm pushing it. I'm already 330. I think by the weekend's done, I'm gonna be at least 337. So it is what it is, man. We're gonna just enjoy it, man.
Hey, but look, Chief, you wear good. You're a healthy 330. That's the thing. You're healthy 330.
I appreciate it, man.
That's all that matters. But no, we go ham this weekend. But fam, look, I wanna talk about Greg. So you being a former Washington, at the time it was the Washington Redskins, currently the Washington Commanders. You had a great career with them. It was almost being a Virginia guy like like yourself. You're playing for a hometown team. One thing here in Virginia, you're either a Dallas fan for some reason. I don't know, y'all. I don't know about no Dallas fan, but for some reason you're Dallas, Pittsburgh, but most of all, you are a Washington Commanders all day, every day. So Washington, we've had some and I'm no fan, but a lot of my family, my father, my brother, he, they're diehard Washington Commanders fans. And it's been iffy. I think at the time where Ron Rivera was brought into the organization, we're like, okay, good. We have some hope. Ron's a very respected coach, successful coach. Didn't have too well of a season leaving Carolina, but still a very respected guy. And we're like, okay, we got it going on. We got Del Rio coaching defense. Oh, and then on top of that, you got Mr. Eric B. Enemy, the wizard behind KC's offense. So that's what really woke us up, right? So, as you know, the turnaround for Washington wasn't the best. I think, Ron Rivera overall, he had a 26-40 overall with Washington. He was let go after this season after a 4-13 record. Now, exactly, man. What was some of the struggles in your opinion that Washington had this past season?
Well, that's a good question, man. I think having a chance to be blessed enough to be within two different organizations like that, the Washington Redskins, currently the Washington Commanders, and the Cincinnati Bengals. I think, man, your success starts at the very top, meaning your owners, how you enter the building every day, how you treat your staff, how you do everything. So I really feel like Washington wasn't given a fair chance because, Snyder was the owner when I was there. I love Snyder, good guy. But of course, allegedly, he had some things going on, within the organization. So when you have that type of stuff starting at the very top of your organization and people are being mistreated, people feel like they have a hostile work environment, I don't think you can have that type of
atmosphere, that type of culture
at the top of your organization and expect things to trickle down and be good. So I really feel like if those things have any truth to them, the Commanders we haven't been able to, we haven't stood a chance in the last couple of years. I want to say we won one playoff game with Sean Taylor back in the day. Before that, man, it's been a struggle, man. And I think I'm a firm believer in karma, man. And I think Washington, the Commanders are working their way out of this because now the one time, history lesson. The Washington Redskins had a black quarterback by the name of Doug Williams.
That's right.
Won the Super Bowl and was Super Bowl MVP.
Grambling and them, by the way, HBCU. All right, I'm trying to tell y'all something, HBCU. But
HBCU guy took them to the top, win the Super Bowl. I don't know if many people remember that very next season, that same MVP winning Super Bowl quarterback couldn't find a job. I think people forget that. You win the Super Bowl, you're the MVP, and then the team that you just won the Super Bowl with won't give you a chance again for whatever reason. Williams faced a lot of different issues back in that day. African American quarterbacks weren't as prevalent as they are now back in Doug's day. So I just feel like, man, we have done some things in our past as the Commanders that we are still being haunted for now. Hopefully we can break the curse and get through this. But I feel like we do have Snyder has stepped out of the way. You have the ownership.
Yeah. You got Magic Johnson on that list of now a part of the ownership group.
Is on that list now. So I just feel like we can only go up from here. We've been down. We've been down for years now. So we can only go up. And I do think it's very possible to do so. You got some pieces there. You're going to have a new atmosphere, new coaches. You're going to clean house, man. So you pretty much clean the house. So I just feel like it's going to take maybe another year or two before we actually get to see what's going on. But just hope we can, rebound soon, man, because, I am so tired of hearing Dallas Cowboy fans talk about how they whoop us and they're the best. And it just gets old, man. So I am truly praying for my Washington Commanders, man, because, like I said, that was the first organization that gave me a chance. So I only cheer for Washington and Cincinnati, no matter what. I know
that's right. I know that's right.
But I just hope we can have a better year moving forward, man. But again, I think when you remove that dark cloud from the very top,
absolutely,
things, a nice new sunny day can work things out for the rest of the crew. And I think, I think they'll move better. I think they'll be better moving forward. But you gotta treat people right, man, in every aspect of life. If you're having a lot going on and someone's being mistreated, it's going to bite you in the ass somewhere up and down the line. So I think that's what was Washington's biggest problem. It's amazing how relationships and work environments can trickle down, because you wouldn't think that would trickle down to the football field and affect how players play. But if people are being mistreated at the top, it sets the mood for your entire organization, man.
Absolutely,
So I
absolutely,
really feel like we serve a better chance moving forward now.
oh no. I mean, you spoke nothing but pure facts, and I mean, just having that cloud, reign over the, the stadium and the squad and just the culture. It does put full effect because I speak with my Washington friends, and they have some words about Dan Snyder, and it's a funny story. So my dad, him and Bruce Smith go way back. They were
Right.
teammates in Booker T. Washington. I actually remember, and I forgot what age I was, but when Bruce got inducted, we were honored to be invited, a part of his guest list. My father, my mom, and I myself, and then I was able to bring my best friend. Still to this day, we've been best friends since 5 years old. And we went, and we never. I mean, it was like nothing we've ever seen before. But I remember going. There was an after party after the celebration of after the actual ceremony. I see like it was a lot of black people, and I see like maybe like one or two white people. One of those white guys was Dan Snyder, and as a kid, I never really knew it was. But I'm like, first of all, I'm in elementary school. Dan about my height, and I ain't a tall man. But long story short, I'm like, well, dang, if I knew that was Dan, I would say, damn man, we gonna be friends because I need a lot of rich friends. we gotta be friends, so we gotta be friends.
That he was rich.
but that's one of my big stories I always share. Well, it was so many memorable people in that tent, man. I mean, Richard Roundtree. I know my mother got to meet him. Oh man, Darryl Green, it was so funny because my dad has an autographed jersey of Darryl Green in a frame in the house, and the first person I see when we walk, I'm like, I'm trying to tap my dad on the shoulder, and my dad, big. I'm like, and I'm like,
right.
So, which I mean is a Washington legend, right. Man. But a true legend, man. Yeah. But it was an awesome experience there. But it hurts when you do have fans that continue to support Washington, but like you said, don't have mixed reviews on ownership, and then they changed that. Everybody was like, "Oh, thank you, he's gone." Okay, boom. Who's gonna be in ownership? What? Yeah. Magic Johnson. He's not even Magic Johnson anymore. He's Magic. Magic comes in ownership, a part of a group, and I think it helps. It brings it warms up the atmosphere, the culture. Everybody's excited. Then you still have under Coach Rivera, and really stat wise, Washington has some really great players. I mean, Sam Howell, wrote some notes down. He finished the season with almost 4,000 yards in passing. Now, the TD interception, ratio was a little tough. It was 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. I think wideout Terry McLaurin had over 1,000 yards in receiving, 4 touchdowns, and then running back Brian Robertson, about 733 to be exact yards in rushing, and then Cody Barton, your linebacker, had a total of 123 tackles. So these are not like, it's not like you have bad players. It's just trying to maneuver and get those pieces fit, because y'all had a great squad.
Man, we got some bright spots, man. As you just you got some bright spots on that football team, man. You really do. I just think it's hard to we've been losing for so long, man. It takes a special group of guys to break that curse. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
To just turn things around. So I really do feel like now, though, you will have, you got that new ownership again. I know I keep referring back to that, but then, and I just remind all the Washington Commanders fans, the first year of anything is always tough, man.
It's always
new ownership, new coach, whatever. You're going to go through some growing pains with that type of stuff. You got an organization where you got 600-700 employees. You're going to go through some growing pains. It's going to take a while before you get that momentum rolling. So I think the future is really bright for the Commanders, man. I really do. We got some great players. It's just going to take a little while to get that camaraderie and that chemistry together to get back to the winning side. And like I said, all that stuff comes in time. But I really do feel like the future is really bright for Washington, man. It really is.
Absolutely. You got a new coach in Dan Quinn, which Dan Quinn is he's no unsuccessful coach. He had a great season at the time with Atlanta, led them to a Super Bowl. Now, it was a Super Bowl that, I can't talk about it because it's like it gives me a headache. It gives me heartburn every time
He
because
lost to the GOAT. He lost to the GOAT,
to go and see.
though.
And I'm an Indy fan. No ties to Indianapolis. I've just always I don't know Tony Dungy, Ezri and Jane, Joseph. Like I was just a huge fan of Indy. So you know the New England Patriots man is just they it kills me to even I'm always on the debate of saying who's better between him and Peyton. I'm always gonna be saying Team Peyton because I'm like count the NFL MVPs, not Super Bowl, count them individual MVPs. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
if they were judged off MVPs, you're right. But unfortunately,
I'm just saying. I mean, Super Bowl, that's a team effort now. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'm not gonna get my
Tom has been there. Right. He has 7 of them, and then to leave New England and immediately grasp one. I think that's the true GOAT status.
Hey, look, I can't. I left my Stephen A. Smith attire home. I ain't bring that with me. I had to look that's blasphemous. No, I'm joking. But but he coached Atlanta, was let go there. Then I believe he was Dallas's defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. And that was
his defense has played lights out the last 3 to 4 years. So. He's a coach that has a good coaching pedigree. I think the people at Washington are going to be able to respect him, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to pull some other coaches in there with him that'll be able to get the guys going in the right direction. Because, like I said, Dan Quinn his resume speaks for itself. He's been able to have some real life success in the NFL. Besides that one debacle in the Super Bowl where he was up by 25 points and they lost to Tom Brady, but other than that. His resume pretty much speaks for itself, man. He's a good football coach and has been able to get through to a lot of guys to help them be better football players.
Do you think it would now? And I'm not saying if he was he fired the guy, but there's reports that Eric Bieniemy won't be returning to Washington after just that season. Again, I've spoken on his stats of his offensive players, and I mean, do you think that's Dan has it covered as far as like, I have somebody, better than Eric Bieniemy. Or, I mean, I'm hoping that a team would offer Bieniemy a head coaching because I think that's another story. I'd love to have you on, another time because we do have that issue when it comes to diversity and giving, African Americans the right platform, not just on a corporate level, but I mean, when it comes to, head coaching, right? So, Eric has the resume to well off be a head coach of a squad.
I definitely agree with you. I think Eric Bieniemy is deserving of a head coaching job. He's proven that he is well-rounded. He can get 2 players. I remember they were a little disgruntled about his coaching style when he first got to Washington, but you see how quickly that went away because your coaches are supposed to push you. So I think he's well-deserving. But I will say, from my experience, usually when the head coach goes, they clean house. Very rarely do you find guys who are on a staff with someone else and the new staff comes in and they stay. It happens. It happens. It's rare, but I pretty much knew once Ron Rivera was out that pretty much everyone else behind him was going to, the dominoes were going to fall. And Eric Bieniemy is going to, he's a great coach. Like you said, he's going to end up landing somewhere else and doing great things. Hey, he's got, I want to say 2 Super Bowl rings with
Kansas City. Yep.
So he's going to fall somewhere else and do great things. But yeah, it's usually, I think I kind of knew when Dan Quinn was coming in, they were going to clean house and it was going to be his group of guys that he picked once he got there and got situated.
All right, boss man. Well, look, I got to move on before we end this. 2 more things I want to talk about. Your I believe is it season 3 or 4 of the Culture Shock podcast.
Yeah, season 3. Me and my man Xavier Scott. He's the host. I'm the co-host. But the Culture Shock, man, great podcast. We're always interviewing people that have rightfully moved the needle in their profession. You know what I'm saying? We love talking to people that have been able to do some amazing things for the youth or whatever they're, just moving the needle in their profession, man. So we're getting loaded again with season 3. We got some amazing guests so far, man. So we are going to get rolling very soon, man. But we enjoy it. We love it. And just to get a chance to hear people's story, man, That's the intriguing thing about those podcasts where you get to hear people's story, and you always get a chance to learn from someone else's story, because you may have heard something throughout the story that you didn't know before that can really mesmerize you about that person's journey, man. So we love doing the Culture Shock podcast, man. I can't wait to get going on and get fully running, hit the ground with season 3.
Love it. And y'all need to check out the Culture Shock podcast right now. If you to catch up on some latest episodes, they're available on all podcast platforms. I believe you can find them on YouTube as well. The Culture Shock podcast, hosted by X Scott, as well as my dear friend Mr. Greg Scott as well. Now, no, not related, because Scott's a very familiar last name, because my stepfather's last name is also, he's a Scott too. So I'm like, hey, you never know, but you never know.
Very common name, but yeah, we came from the same hood. We've told people that we're cousins. We really, we are family now. After me and X played against each other in high school, and he was a quarterback, and I was for Franklin. I was at Southampton. Then had a chance to go to HU and team up, win a couple conference championships around there, and then to be able to come back home and coach football together and have this podcast. And of course, he's a board member of Cover 3 Foundation as well too. So we've been able to do some amazing things together, man, on our journey. So, we're once cool homies that have grown 2 brothers.
That's what I love to hear, because Greg, my mission in life, and I always, repeat it a lot on the show, is changing the narrative, always, changing, building up a representation of the Black community. And I love seeing the fact that, hey, we were gentlemen that played against each other. We start off as opponents, ended up as brothers, because we had one common goal. We're from the same area. And this is a great segue. I want to go into the Cover 3 Foundation, because I love, I'm big on giving back to the community. We live in a society where, we have communities that are hurting, especially, now, inflation still, hasn't gone away. Certain, grocery prices are up and increased. And I think I was reading an article that average, I think McDonald's meal is like pushing $17 or something like that. Like it's so expensive, and a lot of people are hurting. We do have homeless in the Hampton Roads area. I know for sure in the Franklin, Virginia area. I know it's out there as well. The Cover 3 Foundation, man. How what was the initial mission when starting this foundation?
Well, after my playing career was done, man, back in 2008, 2009, I wanted to come back home, man, and do something that was going to be impactful to not only my community, but the surrounding communities. And I learned about the Child and Adult Care Feeding Program, which is abbreviated circle, it's the CACFP, and the Summer Feeding Service Program, the SFSP, which are 2 programs that are governed by Virginia Department of Education, Virginia Department of Health, where you're feeding kids in after-school programs and summer programs all year round. And I found out about it, man, and I was just blown away that I didn't know about this program my entire life growing up. But fortunately, I wasn't a kid that was facing childhood hunger. There are some out there. So I learned about the program. I learned that it wasn't a sponsor out in our area, out in Franklin, Southampton County area. So I did my research, and I jumped at it, man. I knew that was going to be impactful, and I knew I wanted to help children in some shape, form, or fashion, besides football camps, because we were doing football camps and all that. But to be able to nourish a child every day in their after-school program or their summer program was just a gift that I wanted to be a part of. So, like I said, we started out small back in 2010, man, with like 3 schools. And you fast forward to now where we have had over 4 million, over 4.5 million healthy meals and snacks served to at-risk youth, man. And to still be here 15 years later, still doing that same thing, empowering our mission of fighting childhood hunger on a daily basis. I'm just thankful, man, because I'll tell people, running a nonprofit is not always easy. There are going to be some days. There's some tough days in running a nonprofit.
No, you're absolutely right. Preach it to the choir, boss. Preach it to the choir.
Hey, but, the reward from it, to be able to say that we have helped over 45,000 kids have a meal in that time period, man, because we've had over 45,000 kids enrolled in our feeding programs since 2010, and to be able to serve over 4.5 million healthy meals and snacks to at-risk youth in these after-school programs and summer programs, man, I'm still blown away by, some of the things we've been able to accomplish in the last 15 years. And we've had amazing help. OBC Healthcare Foundation, Hampton Roads Community Foundation, the NFL Foundation, tons of people that have been, very, very supportive of Cover 3. I'm just thankful, man, that we're at this point where we're still able to continue our mission of, trying to make sure no kids out here are going hungry. I'm just thankful, man. Amazing staff. I couldn't have done it by myself, but we've had some amazing staff people come through over the years and make tremendous contributions to Cover 3 to make sure that we're still here today, man.
That is, man, 4 point. That I'm mind blown on the number. I'm like, wait a minute, you 4 point. I said, I need to update my notes over here. So
yeah, man.
So great, man. Like, was this though? Was it? And I won't say specifically, childhood hunger, but like, was the compassion to giving back something installed from you before a professional athlete? Because I mean, it's just like that just don't happen overnight, man. I mean, that's something that's is installed in you at a young age.
Right, yeah. Well, my parents, man, I think it comes from good stock, man. My father has always been a community leader in his own right. He's always been known to help a lot of people in the community. So I just thought, man, what better story than thank God that the way he set it up, but former NFL player gets to come home and have a foundation that feeds children and is fighting childhood hunger right there where he grew up, and then expands to other counties, Sussex County, because we feed all over southeastern Virginia, man. We're Chesapeake, Norfolk, Brunswick County, Sussex County, Suffolk, Franklin, Newport News, Hampton. We go all over, man. We go all over taking these nutritious meals and snacks to kids in need. So I'm just thankful, man. Like I said, I sit back sometimes and look like my Lord, I thank you. I don't know how the hell I did this for 15 years, but we're still here and we're still doing it. So it must be a mission and a purpose behind it, man. So we're just thankful to be able to help, man, and let young people know that, hey, you have some people out here who care about your eating, man, because, a lot of people don't realize, and if you ate lunch at 11 o'clock, now you're in an after school program and it's 4:30 and people are asking you to be attentive and, behave yourself. But if you're in there and your stomach is growling, you're not going to be too attentive and want to,
That's right. That's
go
right.
along with what's going on. So, making sure a child eats helps with so much things, man. Their focus, their attentiveness, their way they behave themselves and conduct themselves in the classroom. So just learning all of this over the years, man, was like, man, this is something that needed to be done. And I just thank God that he put me in a position where I was able to help and still helping every day right now.
That is, and you spoke to something that I'm like, wow, put two and two together, because lunch is at 11, and then like you said, you still got class, and then you got to play whether if you're playing football. I mean, you need fuel in order to keep that energy going. So it's and then the sad thing is we live in a society where kids sometimes they have their best life in school because sometimes their conditions at home is different. They don't know when their next meal is going to be. So it's extremely important. And then you're hitting key areas, because I'm, familiar with going to Chowan University. So I've driven through a lot of the different counties, and nutrition is key because, I have a lot of friends that are, cut from the country, and it's like, hey, ain't no nutrition sometimes about what's going on in the country. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we're, in the African American community, nutrition is the least. I mean, we know the fried, we know the salt, and we know the sugar. That's about the three things we do know about.
High blood pressure family.
What? I got, I can't do that. I got that sugar. That sugar. I'm like, I don't know how many times I heard uncles and cousins say, such and such got that sugar, and he just 30. You know what I mean? Like, he just 28 with diabetes. I'm like, what?
And that's one of the things I'm glad we were able to hit on too, because to be able to provide young people with healthier food options. Let's put more fruits and vegetables in your body. Let's put the salt down. Let's not drink as many sodas. Try to drink more water. Just encouraging them to be better, man, because it's a true fact. We are what we eat, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and trying to stay active, working out. So we preach all of that to our young people, but to be able to educate them in an area that they don't often get educated in about healthy food choices. That was big for me too, man, because that can be life changing. If you can help someone eat better, you never know, man. We all have our number, but you can maybe add 5, 6, 7 years to someone's life by helping them with this knowledge. And if they're able to execute it and eat healthier and be healthier for them and their family, that's a gift worth passing on.
Absolutely, Greg. And me being a fan of yours, I always tune into you on social media, man. Y'all, Greg also practice what he preaches because he takes part in an event with the Hampton Proton Therapy along with other professional athletes. You, Bruce Smith, I know X was Aaron, oh my goodness, former quarterback of the Saints. Oh, I'm trying to get his
Aaron Brooks.
Aaron Brooks, Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Brooks.
So and you guys speak on, especially men and black men, hey, taking care of your body, getting checked out. I was just reading about and trying not to, go too off, but real quick. There was a former radio host who I'm a true fan of. They called him Joe, the Black Eagle, Joe Madison. Joe Madison is off of Sirius XM, very, known talk radio host, and he just passed, I believe, at 74 due to prostate. So it's like, we're trying to, be impactful and let you know, hey, you got to get checked out, y'all. We all have to get checked out. Take care of our temple, man. You got to take care of your temple internally and externally. So, Greg,
I'm thankful you brought that up, man, because that was another opportunity for us to educate people, man, because not often, we as African-American black men, not often do we get around and sit and talk about our health. We don't want to go to the doctor. We don't want to do this. But, of course, early screening, early detection of prostate cancer, man, can be critical to your recovery from it. So I'm glad, Hampton University asked us to be a part of that because it was just another way to spread knowledge about, us taking care of ourselves. And as you alluded to, we only get one temple, man. You got to take the best care of you that you get.
That's right. Well, man, Greg, I could talk to you forever, man. I know it. Look, I know you're a busy guy. Now you're always invited. Again, I'll be, talking to you soon, man. I'll be making a round up there in Franklin as well. And peace and blessing to all the great stuff you're doing in the community. Hopefully we see a great Super Bowl game, y'all, this upcoming Sunday. We spoke on it earlier. We definitely see it's going to be impossible to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, but you don't know. Maybe we don't know what will happen.
That's why they play the game.
We just don't know. We don't know what song Usher gonna start off with, y'all. I'm getting tired of y'all asking what song y'all think is he gonna do this one? I don't know. So we will
find out, though.
We will find out. But again, y'all, I want to thank my guest, Mr. Greg Scott, again, former NFL star, founder of the Cover 3 Foundation, and co-host of the Culture Shock podcast. So be sure to follow him on his socials as well, and then follow the Culture Shock podcast because they're heading into season 3, y'all. They're in season 3, so available on all podcast platforms. Greg, I want to thank you again for taking the time out your schedule, man, and you have a blessed one, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Keep up the great work, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. And again, y'all, I want to just thank y'all for continuing to tune into the Arrington Gavin podcast. Thank you for supporting the pod as well. Be sure to tune into new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, iHeart, Odyssey, Spotify, all those platforms, as well as you can check out the video version at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube. If you're a Rumble subscriber, you can check us out on there, Facebook at our Smooth Club podcast, and on Twitter. I don't really call it X no more. It's just Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. Y'all know that's platform. I try to make sure y'all can catch us on every platform. And also, y'all tune into my weekly radio show in your city on WNSB 91.1 FM, the Soul of VA, every Sundays at 12 p.m. And no worries if you can't find us on your radio dial. You can download the WNSB app. It is free, hosted by my good friends, comedian Ciroc Fox, Hustle Queen, Miss Michelle Young, and got to shout out our amazing producer, Mr. Cam Godley. Until next time, y'all, Peace and blessings, y'all. Take care. And I'm gonna get on out of here because I want to go work out so I can so I can I guess allow myself to go ham and eat a lot of food on Super Bowl Sunday. All right, we out.